The Tories are going to break our economy. They're going to dismantle all that is admirable about our state in the false name of saving money. The Tories, aided by the centre-right Lib Dems, are going to tear the heart out of our country because they have never needed one, and because they can't conceive, for the most part, what it's like to be anything but supremely privileged. And they're going to do so while skipping along to the tune they have a lazy, complicit right-wing media parroting ad nauseum. This is Labour's fault, in the current climate. When did we all forget that this was a global financial crisis? Or did I hear wrong? Did it not hit the US just as bad as it did us and everyone else? When did we forget that it was Cameron and Osborne's pals, the deregulated bankers, that got us here in the first place? When did we forget that the NHS was founded in the largest period of national debt our country has ever known? The Tory rhetoric driving these harmful cuts is built on four main fallacies. Fallacy number one. This is down to years of Labour's profligacy. In fact, public spending as a percentage of national income in 1999 to 2000 was the lowest since 57 to 58. There was pretty much a similar degree of fluctuation over Labour's term in power as has been going on since 1950. Notably with a large injection of cash following 2007 in order to stop the bottom falling out of our little capitalist world. So, probably forgivable. And you know what? I'm happy for public spending to rise, because it gets spent on us. Estimates from the Office for National Statistics suggest that public services have improved considerably over the period from 1997 to 2007, with measured outputs suggesting a 1/3 increase in the quantity and quality of public services. I want to live in a state that supports those who are ill, young, old, injured, made unemployed, that works to keep its citizens healthy and educated. Things like free swimming and free school meals for low-income families, both of which have been cut already by the Tories. The amount of money it costs to keep a society healthy and educated pales in comparison to the cost of treating and supporting the ill and unemployable. Fallacy number two. The cuts have to happen. No, they don't. What you mean is the deficit needs to be dealt with. That's a very different statement indeed, the heart of which is making our economy better, yes? In the light of the cuts being made and announced by the coalition government, the economy has already started to stall. House prices are falling, UK employment growth has stalled, and the next quarter cross-sector projected unemployment figures have already risen by 5.5%. The cutswon'twork.co.uk puts it excellently. About 1 in 5 of our workforce are in the public sector, and if they lose their jobs, they stop spending. Their local shop goes out of business, the government loses their income tax and VAT, and if there aren't enough private sector jobs to pick up the slack, the economy grinds to a halt. This is Key Stage 2 economics. The solution? Visit thecutswon'twork.co.uk for excellent arguments why cutting later, cutting less, cutting different, taxing better, and investing in people are the way out of our economic situation. Fallacy number 3. This is about big society, choice, empowerment. This is about the dismantling of a state that the Conservative Party sees as nannying. The big society myth is about excusing further cuts with the misguided idea that the voluntary sector, whose government funding is also being cut, will be able to mop up the fallout. The young Conservatives say it best. Nobody knows what the big society means. It doesn't mean anything. It means cutting about 100 billion a year from public services. Fallacy number 4. Return to growth. I'm just going to throw this one into the mix. As we sit here on a finite planet with finite resources, reaching peak oil in the next few years, some think already, gas a few after, and running out of all the nice things like copper and coltan found in every mobile phone, which run our ever-growing economies, maybe it's time to sit down and compare net growth with net happiness. To consider how more equal societies almost always do better, and maybe how investing in a green economy will mean more than just jobs and research industries, but energy security. And perhaps try and conduct our society with a bit of foresight and a bit of bravery. Because this is our future. And what happens if they get away with it? Well, if you're like me, you'll probably scrape through. Poorer, harder worked, not as healthy, but our children, our environment, our elderly relatives, the millions of single-parent families, disabled people, unemployed, those who work in the public sector, our research industries, science, the arts and film industry, and standard of living will be irrecoverably harmed. Our economy will collapse. Mass unemployment, a welfare state that can look after no one adequately, overworked, underpaid public sector workers, people homeless, no adequate council home provision, families struggling to eat, and the kind of social unrest which drove post-crash 1930s Germany into the arms of the decisive, divisive leadership offered by the extreme right. I don't want to be a part of that society. The Tories, aided by the centre-right Lib Dems, are going to tear the heart out of our country. Not because they are fundamentally bad people, many of them aren't, but because they are blinded by privilege. When we spend money on public services, we're not throwing money away, we're investing in people, so those people can play a role in making our society function. Help me. Share the cutswon'twork.co.uk wherever you can. Share this video and uncover the reality of the Tory economic policy driven by ideology, not economy. Don't let them get away with it.